Coming up today on David versus Goliath.
I truly believe 30 minutes in the office saves 3 hours on the job.
It's not about the money, but without the money, we're not in it, you know?
And that's where magic really can happen.
And I think our biggest complaint is that there's too much to do in one day.
And it's relatability. And if they relate to you and they think you're genuine, then those people will be moved.
What was that really creative name again?
Well, it's for the diagnostic industry, so I called it the Diagnostic Conference.
Welcome to today's episode of David versus Goliath, a podcast dedicated to helping small businesses leverage technology to not only help them compete against their large competitors, but win. Your host is currently the CEO of Anthem Business Software, a three-time Inc. 500 recipient, and a serial entrepreneur with a passion to help small businesses everywhere find, serve, and keep more customers profitably. Please join me in welcoming your host, Adam DeGrade.
Hey everyone, it's Adam DeGrade with an amazing edition of the David versus Goliath podcast. I love these recap episodes where we go back and we listen to what we've learned over the last 12 weeks. We've been adding thousands of subscribers, especially on our Rumble channel, and we really appreciate it. And so you might have missed some of the best interviews and best moments of 2022 so far. So what I want to do is go back to the first 6 episodes, highlight them, and then next week we're going to go back to the second 6 episodes, highlight them. These are episodes you don't want to miss because they're filled with a lot of fun, a little enthusiasm, some surprises, some things that you're going to love. There's no doubt in my mind that these will be some of your favorite episodes, and it's a great way for you to get to know some of the people, listen to some of their stories, and decide, hey, you know what? I want to go back and watch that whole interview, because obviously we're going to be just showing snippets of these interviews, but they're awesome. Today's episode is brought to you by our corporate sponsor, Anthem Software, where you can find, serve, and keep more customers profitably with their all-in-one software, marketing, and consulting platform. Built specifically for small businesses to help you find, serve, and keep more customers profitably. Anthem Software, every business has a song. Let their software and marketing system sing yours. Some other housekeeping things beforehand. My book is out on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Just go type in Adam DeGrade, DeGraide, and you will find The Adventures of Jackson, the Young Field Mouse. It's a great kid's story, teaches them about bravery, listening, and gratitude. 3 things that are really important life skills for kids. And so we're excited about everything that's going on. You can also visit us at davidvsgoliathpodcast.com. You can subscribe to get updates there and get some emails, updates. And then you can apply to be on the podcast. What I love about what's been happening recently on the David versus Goliath podcast is we've been receiving fantastic applications. And there's been a good 4 or 5 that I've actually interviewed, some that are going to be coming out after these, the hits episodes that you're going to be watching over the next couple of weeks. And they're awesome interviews with great and talented CEOs, great startup stories, great companies with great success. I think you're going to really, truly enjoy it. Well, with no further ado, and getting all of that out of the way, I want to start with a little treat. I have had the privilege, at the time this episode's coming out, I have already been down to Naples, Florida, and I've had the privilege of having a string quartet record actually to my album that's going to be coming out. I'm making an album of just acoustic piano, acoustic guitar, and acoustic strings. So violins, cellos, it's going to be so beautiful. And it's just designed music just to calm you. It's called The Calm. It's going to be coming out in a few months. I want to just show you a little bit of a rough edit right now of one of the songs, not the whole thing, 30, 45 seconds worth of the song. So you get an idea of what I've been working on and what will be coming out shortly. Now, these aren't the real strings. These are just samples that are being used to help outline what the strings are going to be doing. But you'll get the idea. Here it is. Enjoy. And that's one of the tracks that's going to be on the upcoming album, Adam Degrade the Calm. I'm pretty excited about it. Well, let's get right to the interviews and why you listen to David versus Goliath. It is for a little bit of fun and entertainment, but it's also for a lot of education, inspiration, and activation. And our first guest we had in 2022 is a gentleman by the name of Adam Chipineri. He had an infectious smile, an infectious spirit. I just love talking with him. He owns a great company in Central Valley, California called Foster's Pumps. Now, you think about this. On David versus Goliath, we interview a lot of tech companies, but this is a gentleman that builds water pumps to get water out of the ground, into your business, into your home. Fascinating interview. Here's the beginning with Adam Chipineri.
When we started, we were just doing 4-inch domestic pumps in small wells. And, when I first bought the business, it was me sitting around wondering if phone calls were going to come in, and they did, but it needed more than that. The customer base was there, but like I said, through answering phones, through being passionate, through seeing market niches and other pumps that we weren't servicing, I took a chance and we went all in. We jumped in the fire and started servicing the dairy pumps and big ag wells, and it just went from there. It was a little bit of gut instinct. You take your heart out of it a little bit in your mind and just use your gut sometimes, because sometimes your mind will tell you go this way when really there's big opportunity that way.
There was a guy that I talked to years ago. His name was Yusmita. He was business partners with one of my early mentors, Eustace Wolfington. They both had the exact same first name, Eustace. But his Yusmita, wow. And he told me when I was sitting there talking to him, I remember at like a club up on the Marriott somewhere, I said, he was thinking about investing in our business at the time. And I said, well, Eust, tell me why you wanted to invest in our business. He never ended up doing it, by the way, but he said something interesting. He goes, well, my gut, I've always said is God to me. So when my gut tells me something, I believe it's actually God telling me something through me. And I thought that was fascinating. And then the deal never ended up working out. But his gut is God was very interesting to me because it was a different way of looking at it. And that's kind of what you're saying here. You're basically saying that you had a gut instinct. The mind would tell you maybe, maybe not. The heart was like, yeah, I think so. So there's fear involved. But you said, now I'm going to follow my gut and I'm going to go for it. Like the old Triumph song said from years ago. I don't know if you're old enough to remember Triumph. Follow your heart. I can't sing, by the way, as you can tell clearly from that one thing right there. But follow your heart, follow your gut, because there's a leading that happens to us, all of us, and the question is, will we listen to it? So with plans and goals, do you now plan more? So now that you got 24 employees, you've obviously grown. You're having different segments of the business you're trying to grow right now. Are you doing more planning now?
Well, absolutely. Nowadays I'm not out in the field. I'm in the office. I'm devoting my time to strategically planning growth and expansion and obtaining new employees and teammates. So yeah, there is a significant amount of my day that is devoted to just strategic planning. All the way from, what we're going to do with this job. I truly believe 30 minutes in the office saves 3 hours on the job. So that's a big deal. We like to plan our jobs out. We like to really think about them and just get to the heart of it before we send techs out to do them. And man, it tends to make everybody's life better. Even the tech comes back thrilled. He did a great job. And, thanks for that little bit of advice. Had we not thought about that, it could have fallen apart. So absolutely, a lot of planning nowadays. And, where we are now, I have the availability to plan. When we started, it was just get out there and get to it.
I think you just said your little trailer moment, because DVG opens up every show with a trailer. And you said 30 minutes of preparation saves 3 hours out on the field. And that is profound advice, Adam, that you're giving our listeners. See, sometimes when we're just doing and doing and doing and doing, we're spending 2 or 3 times the amount of time that we have, that if we just sat down and prepared it, we can knock it out. Even when I come up with brands and I come up with websites and I come up with presentations and things, I just gave a presentation at the SBE, the Small Business Expo, and on their national virtual show. Well, what did I do? I mapped out every slide on 3 or 4 or 5 pages, made sure that there wasn't too many, and then practiced it, because when the time came, I was able to be on the game, save the time, and be effective for the listener. The same thing is true even in your work job. You got to get out there. You got to plan for it, because 30 minutes in the office can save you 3 hours in the field. Adam, it was so awesome having you on the podcast. I think you had a great time. I know that we did. Well, right after that, we interviewed the bow tie doctor, Stanley Okoro from Georgia Plastic and Reconstructive Surgery Center. This guy taught me so much over the years. He used to be a client in my previous business, Crystal Clear, which is now Patient Now, and he still is a great client of Patient Now, and he's been a great friend, and he taught me something fantastic on the podcast. He said the following: Adam, we're not in it for the money, but without the money, we're not in it. Here's Stanley Okoro. I want to start with, how did you get the nickname, the bow tie doctor?
Well, as you probably know, I'm a plastic surgeon, so I like to look good, and I wear a bow tie. And I think about 5 years ago or so, I said, I'm just going to look good while I'm doing surgery. Why not? So I started wearing bow ties in surgery. And a lot of people didn't like that. But after a while, they got used to it. So they called me the bow tie doctor. So that's how it started.
It's funny when you and I were talking, I think a few years back, we were actually in Vegas at a conference together. You told me stories now that it's become so popular in your area that you actually have a tray of bow ties that you'll bring into the patient, and you'll say, which tie would you like me to wear? And then every once in a while, they actually get you the one that they would like you to wear. Tell people a little bit about that. I think that's fantastic. When you realize that customers want to have something that makes you unique, and they want to be a part of something that has life, and they're having surgery, so in a lot of ways, they might be a little nervous. Just that one little gesture makes it let them know that you're human, and that we can have fun, and that this is going to be okay. So tell the listeners a little bit about that. Is that something you still do?
Yes, I still do, not as often as I used to, because some people, if you're having surgery, you're nervous, all kinds of thoughts go into your mind. I always try to change the other negative thoughts about things, and I ask people, what's your favorite color? And I have over 100 bow tie on a conservative number. And I have all the colors. I have bow tie I have cloth bow tie, which I'm wearing right now. I have wood bow tie. I have feather bow tie. I have paper bow tie. I have metal bow tie. And I have the ones with light, without no light. Anything you want, we got that. So we give our patients the opportunity to pick what they want, what color makes them comfortable, at peace before going to surgery. So, and every once in a while, the patients would buy, or one time I was getting all kinds of bow tie, and that's how I received so many bow ties. So I said, you don't have to bring any more. I've got the color, you pick whatever color you want. I have, you don't have to give me any more bow tie gift. so that really helped. As I was getting bow tie every day, and I didn't want the patients to feel like obligated to buy me another bow tie. I was like, don't worry about it.
Exactly.
To run a successful business, the most important ingredient in any business, there's many of them. I think the most important is having a team that works with you. And to create a team, it's, you have to know how to hire stars, right? You need to hire them, train them, keep them, or retain them. And over the years, our practice has been in existence for 12 years now. So we've learned a little bit of one or two. I don't always try to hire the person that has the most skill, because they can have the best skills, but they can't get along with anybody else. And that means you can't work as a team. No man is an island. You can't win a game without having a strong team. You can have the best players in the world, but if you don't have a good team, you're not going anywhere. So what we've learned over the many years is always try to hire somebody who's first of all, I have my own perspective, a good person. Have a good person and somebody that is going to work with your team. And if they're good and they are a good team player, they can take very good care of your patients or your clients, no matter what you call them. And then you have to pay them well. You pay them well, and then just be good to your people, because they are your best assets. I have a very famous saying: "It's not about the money, but without the money, we're not in it." So it applies to every business. So I think when you have something to offer people and you have good team, because if you treat your people well, they'll treat your clients well.
No doubt. No doubt about that.
Yeah. So for me, I don't even call them employees anymore. They're not my employees. The way we have it set up, Georgia Plastic have about 25 employees for purpose, but we have 25 team members. They don't work for me. We work together, and it's a team. That's the only way it's going to work.
I love that you said that, because I've been talking about this in the last few episodes as well too, is when it comes to our team or even our clients, you don't want an adversarial relationship. You come alongside of them, right? It's not like they work for you, although technically they might work for you. They work with you in this common mission, which is to love and serve your patients in your case, clients in our case. And we want our employees to be alongside of us and also to be alongside of our customers. Well, it's time to take our first commercial break from our corporate sponsor, Anthem Software. We'll be right back.
Anthem Business Software System is designed to specifically help small businesses just like yours find, serve, and keep more customers profitably. We do this by providing you with the most powerful software, automations, and marketing services to help your business compete and win in this ever-changing digital world. Take a short video tour at anthemsoftware.com.
Anthem Software, every business has a song. Let our software sing yours.
Stanley, thank you so much for being a part of the DVG podcast and sharing your wisdom. What a blessing and a blast it was to have you on. Followed by Justin Agar from Quantum Assurance. They are literally revolutionizing the way independent insurance agencies grow and support the insureds throughout the country. This is a fun interview, and this guy's from Fiji, man. So he grew up in Fiji. Just think about that. You can hear the palm trees right now. We're showing some pictures of palm trees. That's Fiji. This is where this guy grew up. Let's listen to Justin right now. Enjoy.
So Fiji, it's one of those things that, people ask me where I'm from or where I was born. And I just say, I don't even answer the question anymore, because it's a multi-hour conversation trying to unpack all of that. And so, but, when I was young, I was born in Suwon, South Korea. And my mother was my parents were missionaries, but my mother was she's taught English to the president's bodyguards. In 79, around the time I was born, all of the bodyguards were assassinated. There was a big kind of coup that occurred at that point in time. And my family decided that it was a good time to get out of Dodge and maybe do something that wasn't quite as risky, if you will. And somehow that led to Fiji. And, and
escape.
Obviously, we all know why. Why not Fiji is the question. And it's a cool experience, So I didn't grow up. There's like all societies, there's stratification, and foreigners that come usually have more means than the locals. It is in its own way third world, and so they're growing by leaps and bounds, doing all the right things, but some of those roads are not paved. Let's just be real. So, but it was cool because my existence between kind of 3 and 15 years old was in Fiji, coming back occasionally to the US, but I grew up outside of a village. And so, it's funny because whenever we're talking about mindset and like points of view and how we're all formed, I think that every human being's unique. Like everybody had a different thing, a different genesis, a different way that they're created. I like mine.
When you look at how fast the world has changed, and even like an industry like insurance or real estate, I mean, the need to have consolidated processes, automation, training, products, almost like in a box. I remember the days. You remember Circuit City? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I remember in CompUSA. I used to go into CompUSA, and they would always have this like your office in a box, or this solution in a box. I always felt like there's something to that because when you think about whether you're starting your own business, we have a lot of entrepreneurs that own their own business that listen to David versus Goliath to watch. We have aspiring entrepreneurs who want to go out and own their own business. And when you listen to Justin's story, folks, what's so fascinating about it is that he's been through a plethora of experiences in his life to bring him to where he is, to create a product that's really like in a box that he can walk into somebody and say, I can give you value on day one. He was in the Navy. He has those experiences. By the way, thank you for your service. I know people say that all the time, but thank you for your service. I interviewed Dr. Stanley Okoro last week, who was also in the Navy, and I thanked him for his service. My current COO at Anthem Software was a former Navyman, so I thank him in the service. My grandfather, Gene DeGrade, was a Navyman, so the Navy runs in my blood. I was not a Navy man, but I definitely have a lot of respect and appreciation for it. And you think about how life brings us all to these different places where you get to a place and you can start your own business. And that's where magic really can happen. Now, what are some of the tools, you mentioned training the agents. Obviously, it's going to be important how to get there to profitability. Yeah. What are some of the tools Quantum right now is doing to market themselves? And then what are some of the tools you're providing to the agents in 2 minutes or less? Absolutely.
And real quick, let me go back. We have over 700 video segments that we've recorded for education. And so props to Caitlin and Amanda and their teams and all the work that they do to make education a successful thing for us. So thank you. So what we're doing with marketing, what we're doing around technology, that's a lot to unpack in 2 minutes, Adam.
Highlights, we're doing this, we do this. I mean, you don't have to get into the details.
We do a lot in social media. We do a lot with, kind of blog posting. We have podcasts. We have a variety of different ways. I think that there's a ton of great ways to reach consumers and agents and whatever else it is. So we try and match the medium to whoever we're targeting. And so, so some of our segments we drive on social media like Facebook or Instagram. Some of our segments we're driving it on LinkedIn. And then obviously we do a whole lot of kind of paid search and organic stuff that we're working on as well. So from a marketing perspective, we do a lot on that side. What I love about the agency force is that the stuff that we're doing to grow the Quantum brand, they're a benefactor of that thing. So as we drive and as we move to make Quantum a household brand, we want it to be recognizable like that for everybody. That's great. When we pop on your Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or wherever we're reaching you, we want you to have that moment of recognition where you're saying Quantum. But in doing that trickles down to our agencies as well, because when somebody sees us and they go search online, there's a lot of benefit where I want that traffic to go to a local agent. If that's how the consumer wants to interact, let's drive that all day long. And so we do a lot on the marketing side, but that's one of those things that it's ever changing. You do so much on the marketing side as well. And so you could probably school me on that with what we're doing right and wrong. But, we're always trying to increase our value prop there.
Look at that. You did that in under 2 minutes. I don't know what was so difficult about that. You did a great job there.
Well, thanks, Adam.
from a DJ at 11 years old to the CEO of the Small Business Expo, Zach Lesberg from the Small Business Expo is exactly someone you want to listen to, because he talked about how he had a DJ company from dreams to reality, and now he's the actual CEO of one of the largest conventions for small businesses right here in America. Fun interview, great wisdom, great advice. Here's a little bit from Zach. Enjoy. And I would love for you to take a few minutes to tell people about why you decided to start SBE, the Small Business Expo, and why you're also passionate about small businesses.
Yeah, Adam, definitely exactly what you said. I mean, small business is the backbone of this country. They are 99% of all businesses in the country. And we at Small Business Expo love small business. Everything that we do is all about helping small business owners succeed. I started this company back in 2008. I actually was not a small business back in 2008. I was working for another company, and I realized at that time that we needed something to help small business owners and networking and building their business. There was no big event out there for them. There were only like smaller chamber events. You could go to local membership groups and things like that, but there was not one unifying event that was all over the country. And so in 2008, I launched Small Business Expo, and it took off like a wildfire. I started it in New York. Obviously it took off like crazy there. Then I added LA, and then Miami, and then Chicago, and we kept on adding more and more cities, to which point now we're in 15 major US cities, and we're growing every single year, adding new and new markets as we grow. And we also, as you know, due to COVID, we actually had to quickly pivot, and we started a virtual show, which our email list has grown over 1.2 million subscribers now. So
that's great.
We figured a way to help everybody. Even during COVID times, we launched the virtual shows, which were massive. And so now people can either do it, whether it's online, or they can go to our shows live and in person.
Tell the listeners and watchers and those who maybe are thinking about starting a business or they own a small business that have never been, why should they go to the SBE?
Yeah, so Adam, that's a really great question. So first and foremost, it's a free event. So it's free for small business owners and entrepreneurs to go to this event. It's all one big day of learning and networking and building new relationships and new partnerships at the show. So as an attendee of the show, you can go to our exhibitor hall. You can shop for new products and services, anything from how to build a website, to SEO, to software, to office space and virtual products and different kinds of softwares that can help your business grow. You can go to workshops and learn all about things like tax planning or business planning, or how to get to the top of Google search results, or proper accounting techniques or legal tips from lawyers. Maybe you don't know how to get started. You have this great grand idea to build a business, but you don't even know where to start. Am I an Inc? Am I an LLC? So there's a lot of different reasons to go to our show. And then on top of that, we have different networking opportunities like speed networking, which is kind of like speed dating, but it's for networking. And you meet a lot of people very quickly. There's different industry meetups at the show. There's a business card exchange. We have great keynote speakers. There's just a lot going on at our shows. It's one busy day. And I think our biggest complaint is that there's too much to do in one day.
Zach, it says you were born an entrepreneur at the age of 11. He started his first business, a DJ company, and hasn't stopped since. Now, does that mean that you haven't stopped the DJ company since?
That's, you know what, we got to make that adjustment on that bio, because I could see where that would be confusing. No, I haven't DJ'd probably since I was 13, but I did start a DJ company when I was 11. It was called Dreams to Reality. And we DJ'd at, school events, birthdays, bar mitzvahs. We did it all. We did it all.
I remember one of my first dances I went to. I mean, now I'm really dating myself. It was at St. Vincent de Paul in Rhode Island. And it was a 12-year-old to 14-year-old dance. And I got to the dance. I was dropped off by my mom. I walked in, and Come On Feel the Noise by Quiet Riot came on.
Oh my God.
Come on, feel the I mean, it was the great thing. And I miss the days and the dances where you always ended with Stairway to Heaven. I mean, for my watchers and listeners, if you're anywhere near my age and you went to a dance, and the reason why I think I liked it so much is because whoever you ended up with was stuck with you for that, whatever, 12 minutes, however long the song was absolutely dancing with you, whether they liked it or not, till the very end. So
I do remember those for sure.
It's so funny, man. I love it. And DJs, I guess there were DJs even back then, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was probably not your, like, you know, I was just playing like CDs and stuff like that, but I was advanced for being 11 years old. I have to say I was a pretty good DJ at 11.
What was the name of it again? The name of the DJ company?
Dreams to Reality.
What did that mean? What was the significance?
You know, I don't know. At that time, I came up with
that. Sounds so cool. I'm gonna call it.
Yeah, at 11 years old. I mean, dream to reality. You know, dreams to reality. So,
but if you think about it, Zach, the fact that you started your own business at 11 and you had your own name for it, your own branding for it,
right?
It was a part of the formation to where you are today.
Definitely,
and a part of your future, right? Everything that everyone goes through has a purpose and a plan and a meaning behind it. And Dreams to Reality, the greatest DJ company in the world back when Zach was 11 years old, has led him to start an amazing company that supports and loves small businesses all over America. And it's time again for another break from an important sponsor right here on the David versus Goliath podcast. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
At King 16, our agency has done some exciting things over the years. We've designed and built amazing experiences for customers and launched several vehicles for Audi and Porsche. We've thrown extravagant parties inside whiskey distilleries and featured amazing products for brands like Ray-Ban and Fossil. We booked some incredible talent and designed cutting-edge stages for those performances. We even threw a red carpet gala in the middle of nowhere on a horse farm with hundreds of celebrities, which was difficult. I guess you could say we've done some amazing things for our brands and partners. Now the only question is, what will King 16 do for you? Find out at king16.com. That's King, SIXTEEN.com.
Tim Sawyer, extraordinaire, great motivational speaker, mentor, father. He's one of my best friends in the world, has run my last couple of companies with me. He's out on his own now with a passion with his new business, Spark Money IQ, where he's teaching high school kids and college-age kids on what it means to have a business and how to manage their money effectively and efficiently. It's a great, great interview. And he's the one that also taught us that you got to keep one hairy eyeball on your business at all times. Here's Tim Sawyer. Enjoy. Tell the listeners and the watchers, because you've worked with a lot of trainers, you've done a lot of public speaking. If you were looking, what is the one thing you would tell a small business owner that if they don't have in their business right now, they're in no danger of growing? What would that one thing be when it comes to training?
Well, it would start with a technology, and I'm learning to appreciate that more right now, right? Obviously, having some way to manage client lists beyond a spreadsheet is super important, right? And so having some type of CRM tool, obviously, Anthem has that, and I use it myself. I recommend it. That would be the one piece of technology. But depending upon if there's a lot of different types of businesses. So if you're talking about a retail store selling cigarettes and stuff, that's something different than a tech startup, right? But if anything outside of a mom and pop, retail store, people coming in buying alcohol and cigarettes, it starts with, who's your customer, but then it's the value prop. right? What's the value prop? So if you're a landscaper, why should someone hire you to mow their lawn or trim their trees? And you taught me something a long time ago. I'll never forget it. And that's everything speaks, right? So even if you just want to, not just, but if you want to have a landscaping business making $100,000 a year, there's certain things that need to go into that, right? So there's the marketing piece of it. There's the website, and there's what you email the community or what you drop in the mailboxes to solicit business. But then there's also, what do you say when that person calls, right? And it's got to be a uniform approach to that. So if it's just a husband and wife are saying the same stuff, right? And why should they hire you? And I think every business needs to start with that. We're working on that at Spark Money IQ right now. Why should someone pay us to come speak at their school? I think, there's a lot of people that provide financial education. Why should they pick us? I think that's a huge thing. And then how you telegraph that to the public, right? There's a lot that goes into that. And so I think anybody that wants to deliberately build a business, meaning they don't just want to bump into stuff and someday get some money, that they deliberately want to build a business, it's got to start with what makes you unique. It's got to start with having the right technology in place, and then getting everybody on the same page. And if they do that, they got a good shot at a small brand and making some money.
This isn't just about me giving a talk. This is about you being successful by heeding what we're saying. When you're finishing that talk, what do you hope happens in the mind and the heart, and most importantly, the actions of that business owner or that guy or gal now who's in high school and they're getting ready to enter the workforce?
So the way I'd respond to that, it's before you go into the room, and I believe that you were the one that gave me this concept, and I've talked about it a lot, is before you give a talk to anybody, you have to ask yourself, what do I want these people to think? What do I want them to feel? And most importantly, when it's over, what do I want them to do? And when you're doing the type of speaking that we were doing, it's a dual purpose, right? It's education, but it's also education and get them to come to the booth, right? So and if in modern marketing, if people feel a sense of you're not being authentic, you're trying to manipulate them, you'll be in trouble, right? Because most people will see through that. And so it starts with a genuine intent to help them, right? And I'll say to them, listen, you don't have to come by the booth or buy anything, but just do this, right? And it's really caring. And, if you go back in life, where does that come from, right? First of all, getting banged up as a kid, right? I have an appreciation for what it means to be, not in a great spot, to not have money, to have your freedom denied, I'm aware of all those things, which is great because in business, you get a big tough guy who threatens you to sue you. I'm like, you're going to mail me something? And you send me something in the mail? I had my freedom denied. It's like, I'm not afraid of you. That helps, certainly. But in terms of wanting to help people, it's like, I understand that it is hard, right? It's hard to go from A to B. And so if there's something that we can, one little thing that you can motivate that person to do, even if it has nothing to do with what we're talking about or selling, that they all have these 2 or 3 things. This is how I'll answer the question succinctly. They all have 2 or 3 things that they know they need to do that have been sitting on a desk or in a drawer or in their car, and they need to do something with that, whatever it is, just to get them to do that one thing, to go, okay, to get me to advance the ball from here to here, just go do that. And if they just see that we care about them and we want to help them, and they go, you know what? If that guy can do it, I can do it too. And it's relatability. And if they relate to you and they think you're genuine, then those people will be moved.
And last but not least is Perry Demas from CMT Solutions, which basically means cover my test, although he wasn't allowed to use that, so he just changed his name to CMT Solutions. Great interview, learned a lot about pre-authorizations and lab work. I know it sounds boring, but it's not. Enjoy this with Perry Demas. You were telling me that it was kind of like serendipitous for you to end up in this space because you started a convention, which I want you to talk to the viewers and the watchers a little bit about that. You started a convention. you kept hearing this idea over and over again, and then regulations changed right around the same time, and CMT was born. Give us a little bit of that story.
Yeah. So I put on a conference for these same diagnostic innovators, these laboratories, and it's been going on for about 12 years now. And through that conference, obviously, I've been able to really work with interesting people throughout the industry. So it's not only laboratories, but it's the regulators, it's the compliance people, it's the commercialization experts, it's the market access or the insurance companies, all those groups. So through that, like you said, Adam, about 4.5 years ago, I kept on getting calls from individuals saying, hey, did you hear about the insurance companies aren't allowing the labs to do these prior authorizations anymore? They want the doctors to do them. That's going to be a really big issue for us because today we get paid for these tests because we do them. But tomorrow, when we can no longer do them, our doctors aren't going to spend the time and effort to do it for us, right? So this is going to be a problem. What do you think we should do? And honestly, after a good 6, 7, 8 calls by different people, all having that same problem, the light bulb finally went off on it.
It took you 6 or 7 times.
Yeah. You'd think I learned after a couple times, right? So I'm like, I guess there's a problem. I think I can solve this, right? And that's what we did.
You know, it's funny because a good buddy of mine has always said, someone will pay you $1 million to solve a $100 million problem. Somebody will pay you $1.5 billion to solve a $10 billion problem. And when you have that solution staring you, some of the simplest ideas in the world are literally staring us, like knocking on our heads every single day. And you just grab the bull by the horns. You mentioned that you're not the most creative cat in the world when it comes to ideas, and you started a convention back then, and you said, I came up with this really creative name. What was that really creative name again?
Well, it's for the diagnostic industry, so I called it the Diagnostic Conference.
Because there wasn't one.
This, Adam. Yeah, you'll love this. So CMT Solutions originally was called Cover My Test. Now, how did I come up with Cover My Test? Because on the pharmaceutical side of the business, there's a company called Cover My Meds. And we were using the same business model as Cover My Meds. And Cover My Meds, when we just started, had just been acquired by McKesson for $1.4 billion. And I said, let's just do that. So we called it Cover My Test. And we are almost getting a trademark. And then also we got a little letter from McKesson saying, that's a little too close to Cover My Meds.
Yeah, exactly.
So I am creative when it comes to branding.
I got to tell you, folks, these are the things that people don't appreciate when you're trying to build a business, right? You know, you've got different personality types. Like, I'm a marketer. So, like, Perry, if you ever need an idea for a name of a company or, like, a slogan, like, you know, that's like, I'm only good for, like, 5 words. After that, it's like, it's all nonsense. But that, you know, one of the things I love, like, so when we came up with Anthem software, every business has a song, let our software sing yours. See, you need a creative cat like me helping you name your business and coming up with slogans. But hey, you know what? Like I said, somebody will pay you $1.4 billion to solve a $10, $50, $100 billion problem. And I think that's a very important point for our watchers and our listeners to note is that, you know, you don't have to be overly creative to have a great idea. But you really shouldn't be stealing from people, Perry. And you found that out quickly.
Yeah. And as you know, I mean, the fun part of this whole thing of starting a business and seeing if you can actually do something with it is, you know, working with people, right? So I know that. So now, do we have a vice president of marketing? And she's fantastic. And I'll throw out stuff to her and she'll laugh. And you know what? She makes it sound good, look good. So now if you go to our website, you know, it's a whole lot better than what we started with. Let's put it that way. It looks great.
My instincts tell me the last thing I want you doing is building and designing my website.
No, you do not.
There's no doubt about that. But you know what, man? And God bless her. I can only imagine what the marketing meetings are like. You know, But you need everyone. And I think this is really important, right? So if you look at like how a spokes in the wheel, there's many different things that keep that wheel intact. And at the center, obviously, is the lug nuts, right? And sometimes there's one giant one, and then there's five lug nuts around in a business. I tell people this all the time. But no part of that wheel is less important to keep that wheel on the road, right? So it's like, even though the center is where the strength starts, it's held together on the outside as well, too. And great people make all the difference. And there you have it. That was the first 6 interviews of 2022 in the bag. Now you've had a recap. You can go back and watch the ones you want to see. This is where you get everything you need for inspiration, education, and activation in your business. If you are an entrepreneur or a small business owner and you want to learn and be inspired, there's no better place to do it than the David versus Goliath podcast. Next week's is going to be fantastic as well. You don't want to miss it. Thank you so much for tuning in, and everyone have a great day.